Hello, are you ready to enjoy a little spring? If so, stay tuned because today we're doing a fun project that has some unique techniques I think you're absolutely going to love. Hi, I'm Chris Haughey. Welcome to Create with Chris at Cuppert Distributing. Lindsay is with me today to take care of everything. Thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to this spring season ahead of us, and I thought maybe today we would do a fun spring project. So while we're waiting for everyone to jump on, let us know where you're hailing from. We always talk about the weather. Today it is a rainy, stormy, gloomy day, so hopefully, Lindsay, we won't have any technical problems.
It's supposed to get nicer. I mean, I don't think we're having any more rain, but it looks like it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's April showers, so we're always anticipate a little bit of rain. Kind of slows down the farmers' progress in the fields, but they deal with that as well. So this week has been kind of a challenge for all of us. Lindsay's dealing with some allergy issues. My hubby's dealing with some other issues, and I've been hobbling around with a little bit of sciatica. So
I think between the three of us, there's not one healthy person.
yeah, we were trying to decide if all three of us together would even make one person. I'm not sure. We all have our issues that we're dealing with right now. So we have anyone jumping on, Lindsay?
Bonnie is here from Oklahoma City.
Hi, Bonnie.
Excuse me. Stacy from Florida and Robin from North Carolina.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us. So, we also have Terry just joined us from High River, Alberta.
Oh, I don't know if it's spring in Alberta yet or not. A little further north.
Mike joined us from East Tennessee, said 1.7 inches of rain last night.
Wow.
And told us all to get well soon. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Yes.
Mine's just normal spring allergies and complications, and
Yeah, but you know, anything like that just really
people just need to stop mowing grass.
struggles.
That would help me a lot.
Her husband said, "I'll quit mowing grass, no problem."
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, luckily he was supposed to mow last night, but it rained, so I escaped that. But yeah, so
I could put her in a bubble.
yeah, maybe. Good morning, Jennifer Key. Welcome.
Hi, Jen. How's Miss Paisley doing? Growing up like a little weed,
Hello.
Pretty little weed.
Hello, Kathy from Tennessee. Yeah, we had a good amount of rain overnight. I know it woke me up at 1 in the morning.
Well, I got up this morning and there were leaves plastered against the window, which meant the wind was kind of going sideways. And so we had some strong wind and rain.
Bonnie says, "Thank you for the do not worry post this week."
Oh, you are quite welcome. That seemed very appropriate Sunday when I was contemplating a good journaling. I've been doing a little bit of Bible journaling on Sundays. I'm posting some of that. So you are quite welcome.
Thank you, Robin. We appreciate that. She says, praying all of you feel better soon.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Deb from Central PA. Thank you for joining us. Jen says Paisley is doing fantastic.
Yeah, it's a pretty
All
little
right.
girl.
You ready to start?
I am ready.
Going to flip the camera.
We are doing a spring project today, and I thought it would be fun to do a different technique in the background. So I am working on, I need the paper towels.
Oh.
I can't quite reach them. Working on a smaller breadboard. And this can be done on any size, any background, but it's such a fun way to dress up a very plain, boring background. So if you're looking for a technique that is fun and quick and impressive, this is an excellent way. You can shake up the colors, you can change. I'm using a stencil. Anything will work. I am going with a little bit of Whispering Turquoise and a little bit of Melon. I have base coated the breadboard with buttermilk, and that gives us a nice range of color. Let me I'm struggling with my buttermilk. I have very little in my bottle. And you know, we always squeeze it to the last drop. I am using my oval wash. I like this brush. It has a nice soft bristle, makes it easy to move the paint around, don't have a lot of brush strokes. It is fairly wet. I don't know if you can see the glisten on my finger. Not using heavy paint. I'm going to work quickly, sort of kind of blend wet on wet, loading it with the Whispering Turquoise. And I'm just starting in the top, kind of pulling it down, maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, wiping my brush, cleaning it and picking up a little bit of melon. I'm going to put some down here. Want to make sure that I can blend that out. I don't want a solid coverage, just a soft coverage. And picking up some of that buttermilk to make it all work together. And this buttermilk will blend it, and I'm okay about bringing some of the colors into each other, but I don't want to stop halfway up. So I'm using long strokes. I like that striation that it creates, that blend of a little bit of blue to the buttermilk, to the melon. Not worried about making it even. I like that look of color shifting, I think is a good word. I don't want it super heavy. I did start in the top left with the blue, the bottom right with the melon. That allows it to be a little heavier in those areas, and then just softly blend out. So that's it. I mean, how simple is that? That just like super quick and easy. And you can see how this would work nicely with just about any colors, color combinations. I like this, but it always looks when I'm at this point like it needs just a little bit more. So I am going to be using a stencil to pull it all together and give it that wow factor. And I'm using a, what is this called?
Musical collage.
Musical collage. I like this. It has little birds on it, music notes. You could use any design stencil will work. And I'm going to be going with white. Again, this is something you can choose if you want it to be a little more bold, go with a darker color. Loading my stencil brush with the white, and this is the number 5. I'm using a bigger stencil brush because I want to cover the area quickly. This is dry, make sure it's nice and dry. Just offloading that heavy paint so that I want more of a dry brush effect as opposed to heavy solid paint. And I'm just going to start down here. I'm using a soft swirl. I want that design to be visible, but not dark and heavy. I always do everything from left to right except stenciling. And I finally figured out I hold it with my left hand if I can't anchor it down. So I think that's why I start on the opposite side. And I do like to keep some sort of a pattern to remember where I've stenciled. So I go up and then I'm coming down. That just kind of keeps my brain on track as to what I've done and what is left to do.
And while you're stenciling, I'm going to put the QR code up there. So this project isn't available in a bundle. You get the stencil, the breadboard, and you'll see the kit shortly that goes on top of it, and the Keep It Simple pattern, which is, it does not have a line drawing, correct?
No, it does not.
I don't remember seeing one
No.
when I looked at it, but yeah, no line drawing, so it's a cheaper pattern.
It does have the actual
It
size.
has the picture though, so, but that is available on our website, and all you need to do is just scan that little QR code with your cell phone, and it'll take you right to it.
I did give this a quick peek, and I'm not seeing the design as strong as I would like because I have applied the paint very lightly. I can go back and add a second coat and feel comfortable about not being stenciling over wet paint. peek under there. That's what I want, a lot of design. And this is background design, so it doesn't need to be super strong and heavy. I like how that looks. Now, if there's some areas that seem a little bit sparse, like right in here, I'll just go back with a little bit of part of the stencil and just add some more design in there. And don't be afraid to use portions of the stencil. This is basically a collage of music notes, so adding more is just going to elevate that design. And I want just a little bit right there. I am trying to keep it horizontal so that I don't have, up and down, but I want those music notes to be very defined. And I'll have my other design right there in the middle. And you can see how versatile this is. I think this is very stress-free to create a background like this, but look how it just pulls it all together very softly. A little bit right there. The more I look at this, the more I can add just a touch of notes. And I always like that treble clef, so I'm going to pop that in right there.
And I don't know if you mentioned it, but there are little birds scattered throughout this collage. I don't know if you can tell. So it is kind of like peaks of spring in there. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
I did not, but this is a sweet little stencil. Okay, we'll call that finished for now. And this is a kit. This is a watering can, and it has layers and then words Enjoy Spring on it. I have base coated the watering can with slate gray. The handle is melon, deep burgundy, Prussian blue, and salted caramel. And I want these darker colors. You can see the flowers have these open sections, and that just peeks through and gives a little more depth to that. Start with the watering can, and I'm going to, I thought it would be fun. It has little polka dots on here. And I'll jump down to a smaller stencil brush. Brighten that watering can up with a little bit of melon. And I'll pick a, now I can paint these dots, or I can grab my painter's pal and make my life easy. So I am just going to stencil those polka dots on there. And that way I know they are perfect. And even on a little project, something like an uneven polka dot, unless it's meant to be whimsically uneven, sometimes that looks a little unprofessional. And this will just add that bit of perfection. I'm going to clean my painter's pal off. If you get too much paint around the buildup on the stencil, sometimes it can affect the crisp edges of whatever you are stenciling. So make sure to not let that paint build up. Wipe that off. And then also, if you need to be precise about placement, not having that paint build up allows you to see behind the stencil exactly where your placement is. Just makes it a little easier. We like our life to be easier when it comes to creating. While that is drying, I am going to grab some tea berry. This is such a pretty bright spring color. It's like watermelon slice on steroids. And you know I love watermelon slice. I'll drop down to, this is my 1/4 inch angle. I'm going to start adding a little bit of shading right below the spout, across the bottom. And And you can see I'm not being really particularly specific about floating it nice and smooth, just adding that color in there. Not a lot of huge color shift on this. I'm just adding a swoop on the bottom of those polka dots as well. This is going to help pop that color a little bit stronger. I did not stencil them super dark and heavy, so this not only will brighten those polka dots, but it's going to help fill that color in, make it a little more saturated, and help it to stand out more. You can see how that enhances it. All these little touches makes a huge difference. Let's just go ahead and work a little more on that. Layers, lots of layers. I'm telling you, that's going to really make these pop. I have Snow White. Just going to highlight that, top of the handle. And I probably will go back and do a little bit more. That's a little sketchy, but I just dampen my brush and pull it across. See how that smooths it out very nicely. And a little bit in there. So I think we'll just do the same thing on these polka dots. This is going to just bring a little more attention to the polka dots. Adds a little playfulness, a little dimension. Really helps them to pop. I'm going to go with a little bit of deep burgundy just to add a pop of drama. And I'm using my number 5 radical round. Just going to look at that. Oh my goodness. Just that little bit of color. Wow. Just amazing. Just pulling that across the bottom, staying on the toe of my brush, letting that darker color hit that bottom edge. The angle of the brush blends it out very quietly. And I can pull that out, do the same up here, adding a little shadow. Look at that, just how easy is that? And I am not going to darken those polka dots. I want those to be lighter and a little more playful. But I do want to add a little more shading to that watering can. I think of, I don't know, it's been several weeks ago, I did I think it was the butterfly mason jar where I double loaded my brush with white and slate gray and kind of tapped it on. I think it was maybe zinc, but it created more of a galvanized effect. I thought about doing that on this watering can, but it's really small and I wasn't sure it needed it. But that is another option if you want to ramp that up just a little bit, is to add the look of zinc or galvanized. I have loaded soft black on my angle. Just going to pull it down the side. You know what? This is just a nice, simple float going right over that, across the bottom. And I know you saw my line's not very straight. I don't care because this is where I can fix all that, make it look great. And pull a little bit up the side. Now, when I go to the spout, I think it's fun just to add a little bit of a curve around that spout. Just that hint of detail going right over those polka dots. Make sure they're nice and dry. Gives that, how nice that just rounds that water can out. Then all we have to do, going in with a little bit of Snow White, add a little bit of a highlight. This is my dry brush. My white is almost completely dry. I do need more white just to brighten that up just a bit more. When dry brushing, make sure after you load your brush that you really go in and offload a lot of that paint. It doesn't take much. What's my motto, Lindsay? A little bit of paint makes a big difference. So we're going to highlight that water can. And I may go back and add a little bit more, but it's just that soft glow that is needed. And I'm looking at just a hint more on the spout. And a touch across the top. Okay, we'll let that. It looks pretty awful with that topper on, without the topper on it. But I am going to position that topper right over where it needs to be and add a little bit of shading right below. And after I get that placement, I can go back and smooth it out. It will be a little bit darker underneath the flowers because they're hanging over. These are just normal shades, but underneath the flower, it's just a little bit stronger. I'm going to darken right against this. And this is still soft black. You can put a little bit of deeper shading on that, and I think it just adds a little more depth. I don't want it to darken that down, but just a hint. I think while we're on here, I did paint these leaves avocado toast, and they are so pretty. It's such a pretty color. It's one of the 25 new colors. Beautiful. Picking up a little bit of plantation pine. When I shade, it's just going to be this simple. Across the bottom and up that side. Across the bottom, and I do go past the edge a little bit just to make sure that I don't have any open areas, miss anything. Not a fussy float. I'm not a fussy painter. Trying to find my liner here. My baby duck is just about as dry as my buttermilk. I'm going to have to break down and get a new bottle. Just want to add some highlight on that leaves. And it will dry just a tad lighter. If I need to go back and darken it, I can do that. Turn that upside down. So we'll set this aside. Working on these flowers. This was kind of fun. I thought the flowers were going to be difficult, but I played around a little bit, and I was worried about all these cutouts and what to do about the cutouts. And sometimes it's easier to paint less fussy to get better results. Using my number 5 radical round, it has a nice point on it, big fat belly, so I can load paint. And I'm just going to follow those curves and put some paint on. And I wasn't real sure about the middle. I'm just making a swirl. And I'll paint that blue flower. I wanted it to be in front of. And this is a little heavy on the paint. Going in with tea berry. I did not clean my brush. I picked up a little bit of water. Adding some layers of petals. Watching where I'm putting it so that I'm not totally covering up the melon that is underneath, but I'm intentionally trying to cover that background so that it's not bare wood anywhere. And once I'm pretty good on that, I'm going to go in with just a little bit more. I've got a couple areas here that are really bare. Playing back and forth between the light and the dark, but I don't want to blend them all together solidly. And I'm going to go back with a little bit of Snow White. I've not cleaned my brush. And I'm a little more particular about where I'm putting this. Creating that circular center of the flower. And thinking about where those highlights are on, mostly on the outer edge of the little layers of petals. Looks like a rose. Add a little bit more detail. I'm switching over to my Epic script liner. See how I can pull in those extra strong little hits of pops of light. It's so much fun because it just almost magically evolves. Don't overdo it. And when you think it's looking pretty good, we're going to just walk away and let it be that way. On the yellow flower, if I can squeeze out a little bit of baby duck, I'm not sure I can.
Do you need me to go get your bottle?
No, I'll just use what's remnants in the lid. And I'll do the same thing on the little rose. I have a very light touch. I can decide if I want this petal to be in front or in behind. Does it matter? No, it does not. I'm stronger on the coverage for the baby duck because I want this to be a brighter, more yellow flower. I'm going to go back in with the salted caramel. I never know if it's caramel or caramel. Guess it depends on where you're from. Just kind of zip around that. And salted caramel is what I put in behind on the watering can. Because this is a smaller flower, I'm going to bump down to a number 3, 2 or 3 round, and start to pull that salted caramel in. want that center to be a little darker. And you can see how that salted caramel just kind of overtakes that baby duck. So I am going back with baby duck. I promise I will have a new bottle next time I use baby duck. Just to brighten that up a little bit. There, it's coming back yellow. Need those stronger tones in there to create that effect of layering, but I wanted it to be a brighter flower. And just for fun, I picked up some of the tea berry. And I'm just going to add a few touches. Bring a little color in there. Going back with the Snow White and my Epic Script liner. And I can add that detail and start to define those layers where I want it to be a little crisper. Look how it brightens it up. I still am pulling that dark yellow, the light, and a hint of that melon. I want just a hint of white right here on the sunlight. Looks like it's hitting right about here. Okay, on this blue flower, I just thought I would paint the whole thing with Whispering Turquoise. And I'm staying on the toe of my brush so that I don't drip paint down on the inside of that flower. Just want to get a good coverage on that. Now I can use a flat bottom sponge, but boy, this is a little area. And it's hard to get all those little sections covered well. And if you're working with a sponge, you're going to get into the other flowers. So I'm just going to stick with my brush. Get a good coverage on that. Light touch. If you're running low on paint, reload. Don't push harder. And I'm trying to keep my strokes nice and smooth because I'm only going to put one coat on. And I want it to be sufficient. So if you are careful on how the paint is applied, you can probably get away with one coat. Just little touches. I think this is going to be dark enough that it will work out. While that is drying, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that I can get a little bit of paint out of my baby duck. I want to dip dot a few little centers in my flower on the roses. It's all these little details that really make it stand out. And because the yellow flower doesn't show up very well with a yellow center, I'm going to go with the avocado toast. It's just a deeper color. We just want that little detail in the center. I usually add 3. That's about all that you really need. And we'll go back to this flower center, picking up a touch of Prussian blue. That's the dark blue that we put behind it. And I'll tell you what, guys, this Prussian blue is such a gorgeous, rich, beautiful, powerful color. I'm just picking up a hint of color on the toe of my brush. And we are going to create the flower center, keeping the toe right in the center. I'm just jig-jagging it out to create that look of a deeper, darker center. Just going to go all the way around. And I know right here, that front flower, see how it starts to separate out just once we get those little sections defined. Just that easily. Look at that. It's just all of a sudden it's starting to really pop out. Picking up a little bit of white. And I think I'm going to stick with my angle. And I need a fresh puddle of paint. Watch your paint. I have a little bit of yellow in my paint. And the thing is, now that I'm floating over the blue, that little bit of yellow is going to resonate as a little bit of green. And I want to keep these colors rather pure on this flower. I don't know if you can see the difference. Does that show up, Lindsay? This is so much whiter than this one was kind of yellow. Pay attention to the tools as you use them. If your brush loses its shape, or I know sometimes my brush, I don't clean it real well, and that has that little bit of crusty paint on it, and you will not get a good float or a good line. Brighten this one up. Oh yeah. Now I want to make sure this is dry. Give a little bit more heat on that. That yellow is really pulling strong. This is just going to get floated on the outer petal of that center flower. Look, it just takes a hint of detail. Really pull that out. I should have brought that other piece. I just painted it flat colors. I didn't do any shading or highlighting, and it was really pretty. But I think adding this extra little bit of detail, oh my goodness, what a difference it makes. I don't know what these little things sticking out are, but they need a highlight. I think it's supposed to be like the veining in those bigger petals. And you notice I have this on a paper towel. I'm a spinner, so it's easy for me to spin this around. Brighten those highlights up just a little more. White always dries darker, so if you feel like you need that stronger pop of white, I can even go back and just add a little bit of a line work on that. This is a little piece, and it's just these little details that make a difference. Doesn't take long, just exactly where you place those details. Will make all the difference in the world. This yellow flower, look how dull it got. Just pop a little bit of highlight on that thing. Oh, how pretty. And you know, we need to add some little dip dots in the center of that blue flower.
And poor baby duck.
And poor baby duck. We're getting our money's worth out of it, I'll tell you what. Look how that brightens it up. How pretty. As long as I keep the lid on, I can squeeze that bottle to the last drop. So when I was painting this, I thought it doesn't look bad, but it needed something to really separate those flowers up. So I'm going back with a little bit of that deep burgundy. This flower is laying over top of that one. It just needs some shadowing right there. Look at that. This is like the magical part. Look how that lifts it out. It's just absolutely beautiful. And just for fun, we've got a little puddle of white there. Let's highlight some of these. Center stamen with just a touch of white. I don't even know if it shows up on camera, but just that little sparkle. How pretty. Okay, let's go back to these letters. Now, I am going to use a sponge on the letters. This is a cosmetic sponge, triangle cosmetic sponge. You can get them in the health and beauty, in the drugstore. Walmart carries them. It has a really dense body and it's super flat on the bottom. To cover these letters with a paintbrush is a nightmare. To cover them with a sponge can be if you don't do it correctly. There's just a couple tricks that are needed to create perfect lettering. Now, the sponge is no different than a paintbrush. If you overload it, it's just going to run down the side. So I'm going to take my sponge, dip it into the paint, tap it out until it's evenly dispersed across the bottom. If you can see the texture of the sponge, you know that it is loaded correctly. Now, if I smash it down, it's going to gush down the sides. So I'm just going to very lightly tap it. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap, tap. Perfect.
Now, it should be said while she's painting this, these letters that come in this kit are connected at the bottom. That's for shipping purposes. Now, you can choose to keep them together like this. Or if you don't like that look, you can cut them apart with a craft knife. They will come apart relatively easily with a knife. So
yeah, and just kind of touch where they've cut apart, just touch it with a little bit of sandpaper.
Yeah.
I am a horrible person when it comes to gluing.
So yeah, that's why she chose to do it that way.
I like it this
so
way.
It's straight and, you know. So.
Okay, now I want the bottom of these letters to be a little darker. There's a trick to that as well. I have melon across the whole bottom of my sponge. I am going to just load half of it with tea berry, just half, keeping that dark half toward the bottom. Look at that. This is perfect. And I'm just deepening the bottom half of the letters. Keep that tea berry toward the top. Just automatically, very easily creates that beautiful ombre. How easy is that? These sponges are amazing when it comes to painting little teeny tiny elements. I'm looking for the regular glue.
Elaine's?
Yeah. I thought it was here.
There's one on my desk. You want me to go get it?
No, that's okay. We'll do it with hot glue. It'll work.
I can go get it.
No, that's okay. I have a glue stick. Am I allowed to use that? Lindsay cringes when I use a glue stick. Look how pretty that is. So I'm going to stick that on there. It will work best if you use a white glue. I like that Aleene's tacky glue. I always burn myself, although I did bring my tool, my silicone tip tool. Put that on there. I make Lindsay nervous when I get my hot glue gun out. I'm going to try this for the letters.
Oh my goodness.
Lindsay cringes when I do glue stick.
Yeah, don't use a glue stick.
No, this is because, yeah.
This is because she didn't want me to go over and get the actual Aleene's. It'll work for TV purposes.
Do what I say, not what I do. Is that what you tell your kids? This will hold it for now. Isn't that sweet? I just think that is so adorable.
I'm going to throw that away.
Lindsay is
I
a
hate glue
card
sticks.
maker, and she really does not like glue
In
sticks.
fact, I thought I'd throw them all away in the building, but she's hid one from me.
Look how this background works with these colors on the watering can. It's so pretty. And I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue. Pop that on there. Make sure that it's nice and straight at the bottom and pretty much centered. Oh, I think that is so pretty. And I did make a little bow, and I used, this is, not sure what it's called, maybe cheesecloth, but this is what you put over your, if you're making like pickles and you have a crock and you want to put it, cover the top. And I thought a little bit, it needed to be a little fluffy and a little bit frilly. And I just going to tie that on there. Fluff up my bow. Pull these little ends down. I found this cute little button. I have a button box of my family clothing over many, many years. They wear the clothes out and cut the buttons off because you never know when you might need a button. And I thought this button looked pretty against the gray of the watering can. I thought maybe it should have a little bit of greenery on it. So I just, if you're looking for greenery, you can get those at Hobby Lobby, the dollar store. This is why I have trouble with hot glue. Let me get that just a little bit. Just that little fluff of green in behind. I thought it helped to balance out the green in the leaves. Maybe a little bit up there. You could use different colored flowers, just adds a little more design to it. And then I thought it would be fun to put a little teeny tiny bow at the base of the watering can. Oops. I glued this to to the table instead of the breadboard. Oh my goodness, you did not see that. Don't tell Lindsay.
What did I miss? I ran out of the room to cough. What did I miss? I hear don't tell Lindsay.
I glued the greenery to the table instead of the breadboard.
Uh,
I am not good at gluing.
this is why she doesn't do it, people.
Yeah.
We don't let her glue.
Usually if I'm in the office, I say, hey, Lindsay, would you mind gluing this? She's like, hand it over. Okay, I think this turned out really sweet. Do we have any questions? I did have, I want your opinion. I have a little bit of moss.
It looks like broccoli.
It does. And this comes from any of the craft stores have this. So
Or you can use broccoli from your
yeah,
refrigerator.
broccoli. So this is, I don't know if I would put this on or not.
If it's me, I wouldn't do it. I don't like it, but
Yeah. So
it's a matter of opinion.
yeah, and I thought maybe you could stick little flowers in there, like little tiny flowers, kind of dress it up a little bit. Okay, so there we have it. Enjoy spring. 'Tis the season. So I hope that you picked up some tips with the background, creating these flowers so very easily with just a bit of brushwork, blending those colors. Don't overwork it. Keep it simple. Keep those strokes light. You can always go back and add more. It's so easy. And often, more times than not, I find out that after I've not sure, I think, oh, I should have went back and I should go back and do a little bit more. If I don't do that, and after it dries and I put it all together, I'm going, you know, I really don't think I needed that anyway. So I do think I need to snip this off just a little bit. I don't want it to hang down on my watering can. Little touches. Let it dry, let it finish, and then you can make the decision. Any questions?
I'm going to flip the camera back to you. Okay.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. Next week is our Patriotic Month of May kickoff. I've been working really, really hard. A lot of fun new designs to celebrate America. 250 years this year. We are a lucky generation to be able to experience that.
Well, you got, wait.
I was able to enjoy the 200th.
Yeah, I wasn't a twinkle yet.
Lindsay wasn't around at that time.
No, yeah, I wasn't a twinkle yet.
So it's kind of fun. I'm not, red, white, and blue are not my go-to color palette, but I've tried a lot of different things. And I have found out that I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to share a lot of new designs, not only a lot of new designs, a lot of new techniques, a lot of color combinations. And I think you're going to be surprised and hopefully be excited to join me as we travel through the month of May and create all the hooray for the red, white, and blue celebration.
And it should be noted that these designs are not all 250. There's only one
design that says
one's design that's
yeah.
specifically 250. The rest are just patriotic. So you don't have to worry about them like it's only good this year.
Yeah, Lindsay and I talked about that and said if we do, it's like when you have your 16th birthday, you only celebrate 16 for 12 months and then you're on to 17. So with the 250, it kind of locks it into that this year. It's fun to celebrate that. But the other designs can be like forever patriotic.
Bonnie asked if there's a 4th of July interchangeable, and there actually already is. It's called Star Spangled Spirit, and I will put the link in the chat for you. It was released last year. It was actually one of the first ones she did.
And it has 2 different options for the interchangeable part. That was fun. I enjoyed doing that one. And she's going to pop that in there. But yeah.
But that one is already available. I don't know that you're going to do another one, right, for the interchangeable?
Not for the interchangeables. I've got like a whole bunch more to do. And
So I want you to know Mary Jane thought that was broccoli too.
okay, no, it was not broccoli.
Yeah. So I'm not the only one.
That particular piece really did
It looked like broccoli.
It reminded me of my daughter had an aquarium, and
Well,
it was
I keep thinking you're like rating the aquarium supplies.
it
But
was funny. I did another piece, and my daughter said, "Mom, is that some of my old aquarium greenery?" And I said, "No." And then I brought it to work, and Lindsay said, "Is that an aquarium?" No, it is not.
because I think Laura and I both had fish when we were young, and it was like we're both around the same age, so you had the same aquarium supplies.
They
From
had
probably the same aquarium store chain that we went to, you know.
they
And,
both had a love of animals, so they're a lot alike in that respect.
Bonnie says it's hard to believe the bicentennial was 50 years ago.
I know, it was yesterday, right? Geez. Yeah, that was a big deal back then. So this is even more exciting. Okay. Any more questions?
No, if you guys have any questions or think of anything, you can always email us at info@cdwood.com. That's my email. Chris sits right behind me, so I can always ask where I forward all the emails that you guys send. You can also reach out to her, Chris@cdwood.com. You can call the store.
We are available. If you don't hear back from us, it's because we didn't get it, because
Yeah.
we answer all the emails.
Yeah, sometimes I have a spam an autoresponder on mine, and sometimes even though the autoresponder goes off, your email ends up in my spam, and I do check the spam weekly. So
Don't feel ignored.
don't feel ignored. Yeah.
Go ahead and pester us, because
Yeah.
we answer everything. So if you don't hear from us, let us know. Okay.
All right.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Next week, we're doing patriotic. So get ready for a lot of red, white, and blue for the month of May. I think you're going to absolutely enjoy every single project, totally different. I can't wait to share it with you all. So until next time, thank you for joining us. And remember, a little bit of paint makes a big difference. Bye-bye.